Caleb Foster believed he understood the woman he had married. After nearly a decade together, routines had replaced surprises. Predictability had replaced doubt. He believed he knew her weaknesses, her strengths, even her fears. That was the illusion. Because sometimes you don't discover who someone really is during the difficult years. Sometimes you discover it during one careless weekend. And by the time Caleb saw the video, it was already too late to pretend he hadn't. His name was Caleb Foster. He was 44 years old and owned a mid-sized facilities maintenance company in Scottsdale, Arizona. For 13 years, he had built it methodically, one contract at a time. He started alone, one pickup truck, second-hand equipment, night shifts cleaning empty corporate buildings while everyone else slept. Now he managed 10 employees and serviced medical offices, financial firms, and several technology campuses. Nothing flashy, just discipline, just consistency, just showing up when others didn't. He believed marriage worked the same way. Caleb and Melissa had been married for 8 years. They met when she worked front desk at an accounting firm that became one of his earliest commercial contracts. She had been 31. He had been 36. Both past the age of chaos. Or at least that's what he believed. They dated almost 3 years before he proposed. No rush, no drama, no impulsive decisions. Just two adults making what felt like a rational decision. But Melissa always had one unpredictable trait. Alcohol changed her. Not gradually, not subtly. Like a switch being flipped. One drink could turn her louder. 2 drinks could turn her reckless. By the third, she became someone Caleb didn't recognize. Too friendly with strangers. Too impulsive. Too careless with consequences. They had addressed it early in the relationship. Caleb had been direct. "I can't build a future with instability," he told her once after an uncomfortable dinner where she had crossed lines she later barely remembered. "No chaos, no surprises. I need reliability." Melissa cried that night. Not defensive tears. Ashamed ones. She promised she would stop drinking completely if they were going to build a life together. And surprisingly, she did. For 7 straight years, she kept that promise. No champagne at weddings, no wine at holidays, not even casual drinks at business dinners. Caleb respected that, not because sobriety impressed him, because consistency did. It convinced him she was serious about becoming someone stable. For the past 4 years, they had been trying to have a child. Medical tests showed no major issues, just statistics and timing. But statistics don't comfort someone approaching 40. At 38, Melissa felt every negative test harder than the last. Each month became a silent emotional cycle. Hope, waiting, disappointment, recovery, repeat. Then finally, 4 months ago, it happened. Positive. Caleb still remembered how her hands shook holding the test, how she laughed and cried at the same time, how carefully they began reorganizing their lives around this fragile possibility. First trimester wasn't easy. Nausea, fatigue, emotional swings. But Caleb approached it like a project. Nutrition plans, reduced workload, earlier bedtimes, protection mode. Because he believed this might be their only real chance. Which is why when Melissa mentioned Las Vegas, his instincts reacted immediately. Not logically, viscerally. Her younger sister Natalie was getting married and wanted a bachelorette weekend. Natalie had always lived fast. 30 years old going on 22. Constant parties, short relationships, impulsive decisions dressed up as living fully. The opposite of the woman Caleb believed Melissa had become. "It's just 2 nights," Melissa said carefully one evening. "I'm maid of honor. I can't not be there." Caleb didn't answer immediately. He had learned that silence often revealed more than arguments. Instead, he studied her expression. Not excitement, determination. That concerned him more. "You're pregnant," he finally said calmly. "You know what those trips usually look like." "I'm not drinking," she replied instantly. Too instantly. "I'll tell them right away." Caleb leaned back slightly. Because experience had taught him something important. Plans sound strongest before pressure is applied. "Will they respect that?" he asked quietly. He watched her hesitate for half a second. That half second mattered. Because 2 years earlier at a family barbecue, her sister's friends had pushed drinks on her until she finally gave in. That night ended badly. Melissa had broken her sobriety. Caleb had ended the evening apologizing to 2 potential business partners while helping his intoxicated wife into the car. They never spoke about it again. But he never forgot. That was different, Melissa said now. I'm older, I'm married, I'm about to be a mother. Caleb wanted to believe that. Part of him did. But another part, the part that had kept his business alive through risky contracts and bad clients, was sending warning signals. The discussion didn't end that night. For 3 days it resurfaced constantly. Morning coffee, dinner conversations, background comments during television shows. Melissa wasn't arguing aggressively. She was applying pressure patiently, like someone who had already decided the outcome. Thursday evening, she brought it up again while Caleb reviewed a proposal for a hospital cleaning contract. Natalie called again, she said. She thinks I'm abandoning her. Caleb looked up slowly. What about your parents? Melissa exhaled. You know they barely talked to her since she moved in with her boyfriend. That was true. Her family was traditional. They saw Natalie as unpredictable. Melissa often felt responsible for stabilizing her. That had always been her role. The fixer. The responsible older sister. Caleb, she said softer now, reaching across the table. I know you want to protect me. But I'm not fragile. I'm almost 40. I can handle one weekend. He looked at her hand over his, then at her eyes, and asked the only question that mattered. Can you? She pulled her hand back, color rising in her cheeks. You remember last year's wedding, he continued calmly. You told me yourself how uncomfortable you felt around their behavior. Melissa looked away. That's exactly why I should go, she said. Someone needs to make sure Natalie doesn't destroy her own wedding. And at that moment, Caleb understood something important. This wasn't about a party. This was about Melissa needing to believe she could still control chaos, even if it meant stepping back into it. And deep down, that was exactly what worried him. Because experience had taught him one brutal lesson. People don't fall apart suddenly. They return to environments that allow them to. And sometimes all it takes is one weekend. Caleb had seen this pattern before. Melissa had spent most of her life trying to manage her sister's disasters, covering for her, explaining her, rationalizing choices that had no rational explanation. And now she was flying to Las Vegas to do it again. You're flying across the country to supervise a grown woman? Caleb asked quietly. I'm going to be there for my sister during one of the biggest moments of her life, Melissa replied, her tone tightening. And I already told you, I won't drink. What else do you want from me? Caleb didn't answer immediately, because he recognized what was happening. This wasn't a discussion anymore. This was negotiation turning into conflict. The logical move would have been simple. Trust her. Let her go. Pretend everything would be fine. But instinct doesn't negotiate, and something inside him refused to settle. 8 years of marriage, and he had never felt this unsettled about anything she wanted to do. That alone should have been enough. All right, he said finally, but his voice had changed. If you go, you check in regularly. Texts, calls, location updates. And the second anything feels off, you leave. Melissa's shoulders relaxed immediately. Agreement had always been her victory condition. Deal, she said, leaning over and kissing his cheek. You're overthinking this. Maybe. But Caleb had built his entire life on noticing problems before they became disasters. Friday morning arrived faster than he expected. His alarm went off at 5:15. Same as always. Routine usually brought comfort. Today it didn't. Instead of getting up immediately, he sat on the edge of the bed watching Melissa sleep. Her breathing slow, peaceful, one hand resting unconsciously over her stomach, protecting something she herself might be about to risk. In 3 hours, he would be driving her to the airport. Part of him wanted to wake her and cancel everything. Say no. End the discussion permanently. But marriage sometimes means choosing trust even when instinct disagrees. So he stood up quietly instead. Downstairs, he made coffee and opened his laptop. Work helped him think. Emails, staff schedules. A large weekend contract at a medical complex needed supervision. Details normally calmed him. Today, they just filled time. When Melissa came downstairs around 8, she was already dressed. Travel clothes, comfortable sneakers, loose sweatshirt, the kind chosen carefully enough to hide early pregnancy. Her small suitcase stood by the door. You packed light, Caleb observed. 2 nights, she said. Natalie says we're mostly relaxing during the day. Pool, food, maybe a show. Caleb nodded. He had learned something important in business. Descriptions often sound safest before reality happens. The drive to the airport was unusually quiet. Melissa kept checking her phone. Group chat messages lighting her screen, hotel confirmations, flight updates, party planning. Caleb focused on driving, but the pressure in his chest kept building. At the drop-off area, he parked and turned toward her. "Just remember what we agreed." She smiled like he was being dramatic. "Caleb, it's Vegas, not a battlefield." "That's exactly why I'm concerned," he replied. She laughed softly and kissed him. "I love how much you care." 2 days, then I'll be home making fun of Natalie for doing something stupid. Caleb reached into his wallet and handed her emergency cash. Not because she needed money, because preparation made him feel less helpless. "If you ever feel uncomfortable, call me. I'll get you home immediately." She took it, touched his arm. "You always expect worst-case scenarios." He didn't answer, because he always had, and it had saved him more than once. He watched her walk into the terminal. She turned once, waved, smiled, then disappeared into the crowd. And Caleb felt something he couldn't logically explain. Not fear, certainty. The drive home felt longer than usual. By the time he reached the house, he couldn't shake the thought, what if I just made a mistake I can't undo? Saturday passed quietly. Melissa texted after landing, sent a photo of the hotel view, called before dinner. Her voice sounded normal, maybe even relaxed. For a few hours, Caleb almost felt foolish for worrying. Almost. Sunday changed everything. At 2:07 p.m., a message appeared. "Having fun. Talk later." That was it. No photo, no details, no explanation. Melissa always sent context. Always. This felt different. Caleb waited an hour before calling, straight to voicemail. At 4, he tried again. Still nothing. At 5, he sent another message. "Everything okay? Haven't heard from you." No response. By 6, his instincts had fully activated. He called the hotel, asked for her room. The phone rang and rang and rang. No answer. He left a message. Then another. Then another. Sunday evening became a slow psychological spiral. Caleb paced his house, unable to focus on anything, his brain cycling through possibilities. Maybe she was sick. Maybe she lost her phone. Maybe something happened. Or maybe something else. At 11:42 p.m., his phone finally rang. He answered instantly. "Melissa!" Music exploded through the speaker, bass vibrating through the call, voices shouting. Her voice came through uneven, too loud, too careless. "I'm fine," she said. "We're at this amazing club." Caleb's stomach dropped instantly. He knew that tone. He hadn't heard it in 7 years. "Have you been drinking?" he asked carefully. "I'm just having fun," she replied. That wasn't an answer. "Melissa." Pause. "Did you drink?" "It's just one," she said, words slightly blurred. "Natalie said it wouldn't matter." For a second, Caleb couldn't speak. His pregnant wife. 7 years sober. Breaking it in a nightclub. The line disconnected. He stared at his phone, trying to process how quickly trust could fracture. He called back. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Again. Nothing. He didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the dark living room, phone in his hand, waiting. Monday morning didn't feel like a new day. It felt like consequences were arriving. He was supposed to pick her up at 3, but he hadn't heard from her since the call. 6 voicemails, 12 messages. No reply. And by noon, Caleb understood something clearly. This wasn't just about one drink anymore. Something had changed, and whatever it was, he was about to find out. Caleb tried to work. He really did. Invoices sat open on his screen. Contracts needed signatures. Emails needed answers. But his concentration was gone. His mind kept returning to the same unanswered question. Why had Melissa disappeared? Around 11:18 a.m., his phone vibrated. A message from Daniel Ruiz. Daniel owned a small HVAC company and had been Caleb's friend since they were 19. They had built their businesses at the same time, shared advice, mistakes, and survival stories. The message was short. "Brother, I just saw it. I'm sorry. Call me if you need anything." Caleb frowned. Saw what? He stared at the message longer than necessary. then typed, "Saw what?" 3 dots appeared, stopped, appeared again, then disappeared. That hesitation told Caleb everything he didn't want to know. He called immediately. Daniel answered on the second ring. "Hey, man." His tone was wrong, too careful. "What video?" Caleb asked. Silence, not confusion, regret. "You haven't seen it yet?" Caleb felt something cold move through his chest. "Daniel." "What? Video?" Another pause. "I thought you knew already," Daniel said quietly. "It's everywhere." Caleb stood up slowly. "What are you talking about?" "It's Melissa," Daniel said. "Someone filmed her at a club in Vegas." The room seemed to tilt slightly. "Send it." "Are you sure?" "Send it." 30 seconds later, the file arrived. Caleb didn't open it immediately, because some part of him already knew. Life sometimes splits into 2 timelines, before you see something, and after you see it. His hand felt strangely heavy as he pressed play. Dark lighting, loud music, phone camera quality. But recognition was instant. Melissa, different dress, different expressions, different energy. Not the woman he had kissed goodbye Friday morning. This version looked reckless, uncontrolled, lost inside noise and attention. A man stood near her, one of the club entertainers. Melissa moved closer, too close, the crowd around them reacting. Phones raised, people laughing. Then she crossed a line Caleb could never unsee. Not because of what she did, but because of how easily she did it. Like the last 7 years had never existed. The video ended after less than a minute. Caleb didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe normally. He watched it again, then again, looking for a mistake, a misunderstanding. Anything that would let him reinterpret what he had just seen. There wasn't one. His stomach revolted before his mind could catch up. He barely made it to the restroom. Afterward, he washed his face and stared into the mirror, trying to understand how humiliation could feel physical. Back at his desk, his phone started lighting up. Messages, missed calls, notifications. People trying to be supportive. People trying to be curious. People pretending they weren't watching. He turned the phone face down. Then it rang again. Unknown number. Normally, he would ignore it. Today, he answered. "Is this Caleb Foster?" "Yes." "This is Officer Grant from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. We need to speak with you regarding your wife." Caleb's heart stopped for half a second. "Is she hurt?" "She's stable, but there was a medical emergency last night." Everything else disappeared. "When's the next flight?" Caleb asked. The flight felt endless, not because of time, because of thoughts. The video replayed in his mind without permission, but another thought kept pushing forward. She's alive. That's what matters right now. At the airport, a plainclothes officer met him, mid-40s, tired eyes, professional calm. "Your wife was admitted early this morning," he explained. "Severe alcohol intoxication." Caleb felt the words physically. How bad? High enough to be dangerous. Caleb closed his eyes briefly. "She's pregnant," he said. The officer hesitated, then spoke carefully. "The hospital ran tests." Pause. "Your wife is not currently pregnant." Caleb opened his eyes slowly. "What does that mean?" "Doctors will explain." But Caleb already understood something was very wrong. The hospital room was too quiet. Melissa looked smaller somehow, pale, exhausted, like someone who had crashed into reality too hard. When she saw him, she started crying immediately. Not dramatic crying, collapsed crying. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Caleb pulled a chair closer, not touching her, just sitting, waiting. "What happened?" he asked quietly. Her eyes filled again. "I lost the pregnancy." Silence. "When?" She couldn't look at him. "About 2 weeks ago." The air between them changed. "You knew?" She nodded. "I didn't know how to tell you." Caleb stared at the floor, processing layers of damage. "So you came here knowing?" Another nod. "I was scared," she said. "I didn't want to see the disappointment." Caleb spoke slowly. "So instead you lied." Silence confirmed it. "And you drank." Tears again. "I wasn't thinking." Caleb finally looked at her, not angry, worse, clear. You didn't just break a promise, he said quietly. You broke trust. She reached toward him. He didn't move. You embarrassed me, she whispered. We can fix this. Therapy, time, promises, all the usual emergency words. Caleb stood up, and in that moment he realized something simple. Some damage isn't loud when it happens. It's quiet, like something structural giving way. No, he said calmly. This isn't something you repair. Her face collapsed. You destroyed something that took years to build. And you did it in one weekend. He left that night, not dramatically, not angrily, just finished. The flight home felt different than the flight there. Not confusion anymore. Clarity. 9 years. Gone. Not because of one mistake, because of what the mistake revealed. Tuesday morning, Caleb sat in a lawyer's office. Contracts had brought them together before. Now consequences did. I heard, the attorney said gently. Caleb nodded. Is it everywhere? The lawyer turned his monitor. News aggregator sites, social posts, discussion threads. Someone had connected Melissa to Caleb's company profile. Business reputation bleeding into personal failure. Caleb watched silently, then asked one question. What are my options? The lawyer didn't hesitate. We start protecting you. Caleb nodded once. Do it. And just like that, the end of his marriage officially began. I want her served the day she gets back. Caleb said it without emotion. His attorney studied him carefully. Are you sure you don't want to wait a few days? No. That answer came faster. What about your business? The lawyer asked. You're aware situations like this sometimes affect reputation. Caleb nodded. I've thought about that. What he didn't expect was what happened next. When he walked into his office that afternoon, the atmosphere felt different. Quieter. Focused. His entire crew was there, waiting. 10 men who had helped him build something real from nothing. Miguel, his operations manager, stepped forward first. He had been with Caleb almost from the beginning. Boss, he said simply, we saw what happened. Caleb prepared himself for awkward sympathy. Instead, Miguel continued, we just want you to know something. You don't carry this alone. Another technician spoke up. Clients have been calling. Caleb felt his chest tighten slightly. Here it comes. They aren't canceling, the man continued. They're asking if you're okay. That surprised him. Another added, one company actually said they respect how you handled it. Caleb didn't know what to say, because this wasn't a pity. It was something else. Respect. People understood something important. He wasn't the one who lost control. And in business, people pay attention to who stays steady when chaos hits. But while his professional life stabilized, his personal life was just beginning to collapse. Melissa returned that evening. Around 8:12 p.m., Caleb heard the front door unlock. He didn't move, didn't greet her, just sat in the living room reading documents he wasn't actually reading. Her suitcase wheels sounded louder than normal. Caleb, we need to talk. No, he said calmly. We don't. He turned a page. My attorney will contact you tomorrow. Silence filled the room. You can't be serious, she said. We can fix this. People recover from the worst. Caleb finally looked up. Recover from what? Her face tightened. My mistake. Caleb stood slowly. Mistake? His voice stayed controlled. What I saw wasn't confusing. It wasn't grief. It was choices. Tears started forming. I wasn't thinking clearly. You weren't thinking honestly, Caleb corrected. You lost the pregnancy before that trip. And you let me believe it was still real. That landed harder than anything else. I was scared, she whispered. I didn't want to disappoint you. Caleb's response came without hesitation. So instead you lied. Silence answered. Then you broke your sobriety. Silence again. And then you humiliated us publicly. Melissa cried openly now. We can go to therapy. We can rebuild. Caleb shook his head slowly. You don't rebuild trust after destroying its foundation. That was the moment she realized. This wasn't anger. This was finality. Pack your things, he said quietly. You have until tomorrow. The next few weeks felt surreal. Legal meetings, financial separation. Conversations neither of them imagined having. Fortunately, their structure had always been practical. Separate finances, business protected, no children, no complicated custody battles. Just paperwork closing a chapter. The hardest part wasn't the divorce. It was becoming known. At stores, at gas stations, at supply warehouses. People recognized him. Some offered sympathy. Some avoided eye contact. Some said nothing but clearly knew. It was strange becoming a story you never volunteered to tell. One afternoon, while supervising a job at a legal office downtown, a senior attorney approached him. "I hope you don't mind me saying this," she said carefully. "I saw what happened." Caleb braced himself. "You handled it with more dignity than most people would." He nodded politely. Comments like that didn't heal anything, but they reminded him of something important. He hadn't failed. He had simply trusted the wrong person. The divorce finalized faster than expected. 8 weeks after Vegas, no dramatic courtroom scenes, just signatures. 9 years reduced to documents. Outside the courthouse, Melissa tried once more. "We had something real," she said. "Doesn't that matter?" Caleb looked at her for a long moment. She looked like the woman he had fallen in love with. Put together, composed, familiar, but something fundamental was gone. "You're right," he said. "We did." Pause. "And that's exactly why your choices mattered." She cried harder. "I made a mistake." Caleb shook his head. "No. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is missing a call. What you did required decisions. You decided not to tell me the truth. You decided to drink. You decided to cross boundaries. Those weren't accidents. They were choices." She had no answer. And sometimes silence is the only honest response left. Time moved forward the way it always does. Indifferent. 6 months later, Caleb heard she had moved west to start over near her sister. Apparently, Natalie's marriage hadn't survived long either. 3 months. Infidelity. Predictable ending. Caleb wasn't surprised. Patterns rarely change without consequences. Melissa's situation was harder. The viral attention followed her. Professional consequences followed that. Temporary jobs, instability, reputation damage. For a brief moment, Caleb felt something like sympathy. Then he remembered something important. Compassion doesn't require reconciliation, and consequences don't require cruelty. They simply exist. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. His business didn't just survive. It grew. New contracts, new referrals. Some clients specifically said, "We respect how you handled pressure." Crisis had revealed character, and character attracts trust. Slowly, Caleb began dating again. Carefully, without urgency. Trust rebuilds slowly. Eventually, he met someone. Her name was Hannah, an elementary school teacher. Calm, grounded, emotionally consistent. The opposite of chaos. He didn't rush. This time he paid attention to patterns. Because experience had taught him something valuable. Attraction shows you who someone appears to be. Consistency shows you who they actually are. And Caleb wasn't interested in appearances anymore. Caleb met Hannah by accident, at a neighborhood charity barbecue organized by a local school. No expectations, no history, no assumptions. The most surprising part? She had absolutely no idea who he was. No idea about the video. No idea about the divorce. No idea about the story that had once felt like it defined his entire life. To her, he was just Caleb. And that alone felt peaceful. For the first 3 months, he didn't mention any of it. Not because he was hiding something, because he wanted to see who she was without context. And when he finally told her one quiet evening, her reaction surprised him. She didn't ask dramatic questions, didn't analyze Melissa, didn't judge. She just said, "That says more about her character than yours?" That was it. No theatrics, just clarity. And that was the moment Caleb understood something. Emotionally stable people don't amplify chaos. They reduce it. Hannah was everything instability wasn't. Calm, honest, consistent. She didn't drink much, and when she did, she remained exactly the same person. No personality shifts, no unpredictability, no apologies needed the next morning. She understood something Melissa never fully had. Trust isn't built in big gestures. It's built in small, consistent behaviors. One evening, they sat on Caleb's back patio watching the desert sunset paint the mountains in deep orange. "You know what this whole experience taught me?" Caleb said. Hannah looked at him. "What?" He thought for a moment before answering. "That sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is the thing that finally puts your life on the right path." She didn't interrupt. "If my marriage hadn't collapsed," he continued, "I never would have met you. I never would have learned how strong I actually am. And I never would have learned that you don't need someone to complete you. You need someone who doesn't try to break what you've built." Hannah smiled and squeezed his hand. "You didn't lose everything," she said. "You just lost what wasn't meant to last." That night, Caleb realized something unexpected. He had forgiven Melissa, not because she had earned it, because he no longer needed the anger. Holding resentment, he realized, was like carrying broken glass in your own pocket hoping someone else would bleed. He chose to put it down. The damage had left a scar, but it was a clean scar, not an open wound. He wasn't naive anymore, but he wasn't closed either. He had learned the difference between wisdom and fear. 3 years after the weekend that had once destroyed his life, Caleb proposed to Hannah on that same patio. No grand spectacle, no audience, just honesty. She said yes before he even finished asking. His business had grown steadily. 3 additional commercial properties, 4 new employees, 2 new service vehicles. Not explosive success, stable success, the kind built on reputation. Miguel, his longtime operations manager, had become his business partner. Trust earned over years. One afternoon, while reviewing a large contract, Miguel laughed. "You remember when that video came out?" Caleb nodded. "I thought it might destroy everything," Miguel continued. "But you know what actually happened?" Caleb already knew the answer. "People saw how you handled it," Miguel said. "They saw your character. And that's why we're stronger now." He was right. Crisis doesn't create character. It reveals it. The clients who stayed were the right ones. The friends who supported him were the real ones. The employees who stood beside him were the loyal ones. Pressure had filtered his entire life. 6 months before his wedding, Caleb heard Melissa had moved back to Arizona. Trying to rebuild, new job, quieter life. He wished her well, and meant it. Because some chapters end not with revenge, but with understanding. The night before his wedding, Caleb sat alone in his office looking through old photos from his first marriage. Smiles, vacations, moments that had once been real. Or at least had felt real. Maybe the cracks had always been there, hidden like structural faults behind painted walls. Problems you only see once the pressure becomes too much. He threw the photos away, not out of anger, out of closure. They belonged to someone he used to be. The man he had become was different, stronger, calmer, more selective about who he allowed close. The wedding was small, simple, filled only with people who had proven they belonged there. During his speech, Caleb said something he hadn't planned. "Life tests you in different ways," he told the room. "Sometimes through success, sometimes through loss. But every test reveals 2 things: who you are and who stands with you." He looked at Hannah, radiant, peaceful, safe. And in that moment, he understood something unexpected. His first marriage hadn't just been a failure. It had been preparation. It had taught him what stability actually looks like. It had taught him what respect feels like. And it had taught him what he would never accept again. Somewhere online, that old video probably still existed, buried under newer scandals, forgotten by almost everyone. Once it had felt like the end of his life. Now it felt like a distant chapter. Because Caleb had learned something most people never fully understand. Public humiliation doesn't define your life. Your response to it does. Some men become bitter after betrayal. Some become afraid. Some never trust again. Caleb chose something else. He chose to become better instead of harder. And as he danced with Hannah that night, surrounded by people who truly knew him, he understood something with absolute certainty. The worst weekend of his life had quietly become the turning point that led him to his best one. And sometimes that's how life works. Not by protecting you from the fall, but by showing you who you become after you stand back up. If this story made you feel something, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling us what you would have done in the main character's place, and subscribe to Sinner Stories so you never miss a new video.